Welcome to our module on cyber weapons. I am Dr. Alaa Jabbar Al-Maliki from the University Utara Malaysia School of Computing. As computer scientists, you spend years learning to harden hardware architecture and patch software vulnerabilities. But no matter how robust the code, there is one component of the network you cannot patch: human nature. In the security sector, we specifically call this the wetware, the biological, human element operating the entire system. Advanced threat actors understand that breaking through state-of-the-art encryption requires massive computational resources. It is more efficient to bypass those technical protocols entirely by targeting the human operator instead. A multi-million-dollar perimeter defense system becomes obsolete the moment an internal operator is manipulated into opening the door from the inside. This manipulation is known as social engineering. It relies on exploiting basic human emotions or establishing and breaking trust to access a secure system. While traditional hacking requires injecting malicious payloads or brute-forcing passwords, social engineering relies on persuasion, psychology, and conversation. There is an ongoing debate in the field about whether social engineering is an innate talent, like natural charisma, or a teachable skill, like kinesics, the academic study of body language. To secure networks effectively, computer scientists must analyze how attackers adapt established psychological operations doctrine for use in the digital domain. By deconstructing these attacks into a systematic framework, we can begin to identify the logical patterns needed to build defensive protocols against them. Social engineering tactics, techniques, and procedures exist on a spectrum dictated by the attacker's objective. On one end are general access attacks. Attackers cast a wide net, attempting to compromise any vulnerable node. Today, automated campaigns use regional syntax, improving penetration rates. Conversely, specific targeted access attacks focus extensive resources on a singular, high-value individual. Executing a targeted attack requires extensive reconnaissance, relying on open-source intelligence, or OSINT. Attackers systematically scrape publicly available data. They check social media for hobbies, professional networking sites for projects, property documents for financial status, and geolocation tools for daily movements. By aggregating these fragmented details, the attacker constructs a comprehensive psychological profile, mapping out the target's fears, motivations, and daily routines. The objective dictates the execution. An attack scales from a cheap, automated script to a labor-intensive intelligence gathering operation based on the target. Once intelligence is gathered, the execution begins with a phase of passive digital or physical observation to identify behavioral patterns or vulnerabilities. The attacker then transitions to direct contact. This begins as a seemingly benign conversation, either online, over the phone, or in person. During this direct interaction, they employ elicitation. This is the careful, systematic extraction of confidential information masked as casual dialogue, designed to bypass the target's suspicion. Elicitation relies on pretexting, the fabrication of a detailed, believable scenario. The attacker creates a situation compelling the employee to prioritize the interaction over security policy. To accelerate trust, they use mirroring. By subtly mimicking the target's communication style, vocabulary, and posture, the attacker builds rapid psychological rapport. While attackers sometimes use high-pressure tactical approaches, like faking government authority or utilizing intimidation, these inherently raise suspicion. The most devastating security breaches often occur when an attacker successfully weaponizes an employee's natural inclination to be helpful and trusting. Gathering intelligence and manipulating psychology require specific operational methodologies in both the physical and digital domains. In the physical realm, attackers exploit basic operational failures. They search through improperly discarded trash to recover sensitive corporate documents, a practice known as dumpster diving. They also employ physical camouflage. Using counterfeit badges, forged IDs, or uniforms establishes false authority, granting attackers access to secure physical locations. These physical methods are mirrored by specialized digital tools. Hackers utilize structural search engines like Shodan to map devices connected to the internet, and mapping software like Maltego to visualize relationships between distinct pieces of information. To validate their digital pretexts, attackers use remote impersonation techniques, such as caller ID spoofing, to ensure a malicious call appears to originate from an internal help desk. These specific electronic tools turn scattered public data points into a cohesive, targeted attack vector. Whether an attacker wears a physical disguise or spoofs an internal IP address, the goal is identical. They manipulate the target's perceived reality to gain access. None of these techniques were invented by computer scientists. They originated in military espionage and intelligence. Consider HUMINT, or human intelligence. For decades, military operators focused on recruiting local assets and gathering intelligence through direct personal interaction rather than technical surveillance. The same underlying principles used in cyber elicitation drive high-stakes military interrogation frameworks designed for urgent, rapid data extraction. At scale, this is defined as psychological operations, planned, deliberate strategies designed to influence the emotions, reasoning, and behavior of foreign populations. Modern threat actors have analyzed these doctrines and civilianized them, pointing psychological warfare tactics directly at corporate infrastructure. Because attackers are utilizing professional intelligence gathering methodologies, defense requires the adoption of a formal counterintelligence framework. The appropriate military framework for this defense is counterintelligence. In a digital environment, counterintelligence focuses on identifying, disrupting, and neutralizing the cyber methods used by foreign entities to steal data. The foundation of this is operations security, or OPSEC. This requires internal regulations and data classification to starve attackers of the open-source intelligence they rely on. Passive technical defenses like firewalls and endpoint encryption are necessary but insufficient. The network requires an active, offensive-minded defense. One method is the deployment of honeypots. These are isolated internal servers designed to look valuable. When an attacker breaches the perimeter and attempts lateral movement, they trigger the trap, alerting the security team. Security teams must invest in programs that proactively monitor the digital landscape, identifying threat groups and their methodologies before they execute an attack. Internally, this active defense requires enforcing strict consequences for any employee who violates security policy. True cybersecurity demands an active approach to internal network integrity. You must architect systems with the assumption that the perimeter walls will eventually be bypassed. There is an old hacker adage, you cannot patch stupid. If the primary attack vector targets human psychology, the ultimate security patch must address human behavior. This requires continuous, randomized security audits. Organizations must deploy simulated phishing campaigns to test employee awareness under realistic conditions. Building a vigilant, security-first workplace culture is the only viable long-term defense against social engineering. Now that we have mapped these tactics to a systematic framework, the conclusion is clear. You can build flawless cryptography, but every system you deploy is ultimately only as secure as the human operator sitting at the terminal. I am Dr. Alaa Jabbar Al-Maliki. Thank you for your attention.